The foundation is set, but now we must examine the stone. Welcome back to Precision Anatomy. In our last session, we defined the system. Today, we look at the material. Most people think of bone as something left over after life departs, a dry, white, brittle stick. They are wrong. To understand the million-dollar machinery of your body, you must understand that bone is a high-tech composite material, and it is very much alive. What is a bone precisely in biological and material terms? In material science, bone is a biphasic composite. Think of it like reinforced concrete. The rebar, the flexible strength, is made of type 1 collagen. This is the organic phase. It gives the bone its tensile strength, the ability to bend without snapping. But rebar alone is just a cable. You need the concrete. That is the inorganic phase, a crystalline mineral called calcium hydroxyapatite. Biologically, however, it is far more complex than concrete. It is a specialized vascularized connective tissue. It is a living organ that houses its own blood supply, its own nerves, and its own chemical laboratories. Materially, it is a masterpiece of engineering. Lightweight, yet capable of withstanding forces that would crush steel. It is the perfect marriage of the geological and the biological. This brings us to the gatekeeper's question. What criteria must a tissue meet to be classified as bone? The body doesn't just hand out the title of bone to any hard tissue. To be classified as such, a tissue must meet 4 strict biological mandates. First, it must have a calcified matrix. No mineral, no bone. Second, it must contain osteocytes trapped within small chambers called lacunae. If there are no living cells maintaining the structure from within, it isn't bone. Third, it must be vascular. True bone is thirsty. It requires constant blood flow to survive. And fourth, it must undergo remodeling. Bone is the only material in your body that can completely replace itself without leaving a scar. If it can't heal, if it can't signal the brain, and if it can't bleed, it's not bone. It's just debris. But what about the softer cousin? What separates bone from cartilage at the structural and compositional level? Cartilage is the silent partner, but the differences are profound. Structurally, cartilage is avascular. It has no blood vessels. It feeds like a sponge, soaking up nutrients from surrounding fluids. Bone, as we've established, is a high-speed highway of blood vessels. Compositionally, cartilage is mostly water and proteoglycans. It's a gel-filled shock absorber. Bone, however, takes that matrix and mineralizes it. While cartilage remains flexible and quiet, bone becomes rigid and loud, chemically speaking. Bone has a structured, concentric arrangement called the Haversian system, a series of tunnels that house nerves and vessels. Cartilage has none of this. One is a flexible cushion, the other is a structural fortress. They are made of similar ingredients, but bone is the one that went to military school. Finally, we must address the most common delusion. What defines bone as a living tissue, rather than a static framework? If your skeleton were static, you would be dead within a month. Bone is living because it is an endocrine organ. It talks to your brain. It talks to your kidneys. It even talks to your fat cells. It releases a hormone called osteocalcin, which regulates your blood sugar and brain function. It is constantly sensing gravity. Every time you walk, your bones feel the pressure and send chemical signals to get stronger. It is a self-repairing, self-optimizing, and self-aware mineral. It is the only tissue that can analyze its own weaknesses and fix them in real time. It doesn't just sit there. It breathes, it reacts, and it remembers every bit of stress you've ever put it through. It is not a cage. It is a computer made of minerals. In summary, bone is a biphasic composite of collagen and hydroxyapatite. It is defined by its vascularity and its resident cells, the osteocytes. It is distinguished from cartilage by its mineral density and internal tunnel systems. And above all, it is a living hormonal organ that manages your very survival. Next time, we move to section 2. We will explore the purpose and necessity of the skeleton. Why do we need this mineral fortress at all? What are the 5 hidden functions that keep you alive every second? Now the architect is set, we examine the stone. Stay precise.